Lissa sat alone in the back corner of the space station's repair bay. Legs pulled close to her chest. Her skin had a pale blue glow, soft like moonlight. And her long silver hair was tied back with a wire she found from a broken drone. No one spoke to her, and that was normal. Everyone around her knew she was a Zellerie, but not the kind that mattered among her own people. She was called a waste, a null, someone born without powers, without link minds, without a place. The Zellar were known across the galaxy for their psychic warriors and powerful diplomats. But Lissa had none of those gifts, not strength, not voice, not presence. Her limp from a childhood fall only made things worse. The engineers passed by her without looking. The traders never asked for her help. To them, she was just part of the scrap in the bad, useless, silent, forgotten. That was until the human ship crash-landed. It came in fast, trailing smoke and sparks, banging into the docking ring with a sound that made everyone flinch. Alarms blared, lights flashed red, and out from the busted ramp came a human young, messy and bleeding from his forehead. Need a hand here, he said, coughing hard. His voice was rough, but calm. Most of the aliens backed away. Humans were rare in these parts, and dangerous. Many had stories about how wild and unpredictable they were. Some even whispered that humans were born on a death world orthoplace full of monsters. But this one didn't look dangerous. He looked tired, injured, and alone. His name was Ethan, and he came from a border colony. He had one eye slightly smaller than the other, and his jumpsuit was burnt on the right arm. He dragged a metal case with him, then leaned against a crate and sat down. "I need someone to help me fix my ship," he said out loud to no one. "I've got spare parts, and I can trade rations." Everyone turned away. No one moved, no one cared, except Lissa, quietly. She got up and walked toward him. Her steps were slow because of her leg, but her eyes were full of curiosity. She stopped a few feet away, unsure if he would push her aside like the others did. Ethan looked at her and smiled. Not the fake kind of smile, but the real kind, tired and honest. "You good with machines?" he asked. Lissa nodded. Slowly, he opened the metal case and showed her a damaged power core, half melted and cracked. "This one overheated during re-entry," he said. "Think you can fix it?" She knelt beside him without speaking, her fingers brushing the edge of the core. Her eyes closed, and for a few seconds she just listened, not with ears, but with her senses. She couldn't hear machines like other engineers, but she could feel them. She didn't know how to explain it, but to her, the core felt like it was in pain, like it needed something gentle. She reached into her satchel and pulled out a coil, then a chip. Her hands moved with grace, not speed. Every motion was like a soft song after 10 minutes. She stepped back and handed it to him. Ethan blinked. That was fast. He plugged it in, and the core lit up clean. Steady, strong. A few nearby workers watched in shock. Some even whispered. They had never seen Lissa touch anything except trash before. "You just saved me a week of work," Ethan said. "What's your name?" She hesitated. "Lissa." "Well, Lissa, you're amazing," he said. "I'm Ethan." He stood and held out his hand, and for the first time in years, someone reached out to her, not to push her, not to mock her, but to shake her hand. Like she was worth something. From that day, Ethan returned to the bay every morning. Each time, he brought more parts, more work, and more smiles. He let her sit beside him as he repaired his ship, the Horizon's edge. He never once treated her like a burden. Others began to notice. They didn't say anything, but their eyes changed. Some of the engineers started nodding at her, just a little, just enough to be different. But there were still whispers. "She's just lucky." Some said, "She doesn't belong with a human." Others muttered. But Lissa didn't care anymore. Because someone had seen her, someone had trusted her. And deep inside the repair bay, under flickering lights and between broken machines, something began to grow, something warm, something strong, hope. And it started with a human who didn't look away. Lissa sat on the floor of the horizon's edge, turning a rusted gear in her hand. The ship smelled of oil and metal, with wires hanging like vines from the ceiling panels. Ethan stood nearby, arms crossed, watching her work on the drone unit he pulled from the wreckage of an old patrol satellite. "You really like machines, huh?" he asked with a grin. Lissa looked up and gave a soft nod. "They don't lie," she said. Ethan chuckled and leaned down to hand her a power regulator. "You're not like the others," he said. She paused for a moment, unsure what that meant. Not like the others, because she couldn't read minds. Because she walked with a limp. But before she could answer, the station's alarm blared again, the same deep warning siren that had signaled his arrival just days ago. Only this time, it was louder, urgent. Ethan grabbed his toolkit. "Stay here," he said. Lissa shook her head and stood. "I want to see." They stepped into the corridor. Other aliens were running toward the command hall, shouting in different languages. The screen above the door showed an incoming ship. No ID. No signal. A pirate craft. Lissa's eyes widened. "That's a raider," she whispered. Ethan cursed under his breath. "We need to hide," but it was too late. The lights flickered, then turned red. A metal screech echoed through the station as the raider ship latched onto the outer ring. Within seconds, the sound of boots on steel echoed through the halls. Panic spread. Guards readied weapons, merchants locked their stalls, and Lissa froze. Ethan grabbed her wrist. "Come on!" They ran to the side maintenance corridor, but before they could reach it, 3 raiders rounded the corner. They were tall, armored, and armed with plasma rifles. One shouted, "Stop!" Ethan pushed Lissa behind him. "Run back, I'll stall them," he whispered. "No." Lissa whispered back. Oh God, she looked around, her eyes landing on a half-broken drone cart. Nearby, she ran to it and placed her hand on its main panel. "What are you doing?" Ethan shouted. "I can feel it," she said. Her fingers moved across the panel, feeling the hum of the circuits. It was an old delivery drone. It's AI weak, but still active. She closed her eyes. "Wake up," she whispered. The drone's lights blinked. It rose from the ground, wobbly at first, then firm. The raiders fired. But the drone flew straight at them, knocking one down, then spinning to shield Lissa and Ethan. The second raider aimed at her, but Ethan grabbed a pipe and slammed it into his arm. The third one ran. The station guards arrived seconds later and took the 2 stunned raiders into custody. Lissa sat on the floor, shaking. Ethan knelt beside her. "Are you okay?" She nodded. "You controlled it," he said, still breathing hard. "I didn't control it," she said. "It wanted to help." The next day, people looked at Lissa differently. Whispers followed her, but they were new whispers. Not of pity, not of insult, but of wonder. A Zellery child who could wake machines. Even the elders had no explanation. Later that evening, Ethan and Lissa sat on the horizon's edge. He passed her a ration bar. She stared at it, confused. "You eat it?" He laughed. She bit into it slowly. "You know," Ethan said. "Back home, people like you would be engineers, captains even." Lissa looked away. "Not here." "Maybe it's time to leave here," Ethan said. She stared at him. "You mean, with you?" He shrugged. "Why not? I could use someone who can talk to machines." She smiled, just a little, outside. The stars blinked like tiny hopes in the dark sky. For the first time, Lissa thought maybe she wasn't useless. Maybe she just hadn't been in the right place yet, and maybe this was the beginning of something more. The horizon's edge drifted through dark space. Lissa sat in the co-pilot seat, her eyes watching the flickering lights on the console. She had never flown through open space before. The stars outside looked like frozen sparks. Ethan leaned back in the pilot's chair, hands behind his head. "You all right?" he asked. She nodded. "I never left the station before." He smiled. "Well, you're free now." The ship shook gently as they entered a narrow asteroid field. Ethan leaned forward and took the controls. "Hang on," he said. Lisa gripped the seat. The asteroids looked like giant stones floating in silence. But each one could destroy the ship. Ethan maneuvered carefully, almost through. He muttered. Suddenly, a warning flashed. "Pirate signature detected," the AI voice said. Lisa's heart skipped. Ethan cursed. A sleek black ship appeared behind them, speeding fast. "They followed us?" she asked. "Could be a bounty on me," Ethan replied. He pulled the throttle, and the horizon's edge jumped ahead. The pirate ship fired a warning shot, barely missing their wing. Ethan sent the ship diving between rocks, trying to lose them. Lisa stared at the radar, watching the red dot move closer. "I think it's locking onto us," she said. Ethan grit his teeth. "We need a trick." Lisa remembered something. "What if we release the drone? The one you fixed?" he asked. She nodded. "It's still synced to the ship." Ethan flipped switches. "All right, it's yours." Lisa closed her eyes and placed her hand on the side panel. She whispered softly, "Come on, wake up again." The drone lifted and zipped out of the bay. Lisa directed it mentally, not with force, but with connection. The drone flew toward the pirate ship and exploded just close enough to blind its sensors. Ethan turned the ship sharply and flew into a cave hidden inside. An asteroid, the pirate ship, passed by. They waited in silence. After a few minutes, the radar was clear. Ethan exhaled. That was brilliant. Lisa looked tired. "I just asked it to help." They camped inside the asteroid for a while. Ethan made a small, warm drink from his supplies and gave her a cup. Lisa sipped slowly. "Where do we go now?" she asked. Ethan thought for a moment. "There's a planet Delcar 9. Old Zellery ruins there. Might find answers about your ability. And maybe something worth trading." Lisa agreed. She wanted to know why she was different, why her people feared what she could do. They arrived 2 days later. Delcar 9 was dry and red, with high winds and ruins buried in sand. They wore goggles and cloaks as they stepped into the sun. "Stay close," Ethan said. The ruins looked ancient. Symbols were carved into every stone. Some glowed faintly as they walked deeper. Lisa felt something, a soft vibration in the air. "This place is awake," she said. Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Awake?" She touched a large stone tablet. It lit up under her hand. The ground shook slightly. "You're triggering something," Ethan said, pulling her back. Suddenly, a hidden panel opened, revealing a stairway underground. They exchanged a look. Ethan pulled out a flashlight. "Shall we?" They descended into the dark. At the bottom, they found a room full of old machines. Screens blinked. Broken parts lay scattered. And in the center was a patastasis chamber. Inside, it was a Zellery. Woman, old, still alive. Lisa stepped forward. The woman's eyes opened slowly. "Are you one of the speakers?" The woman asked weakly. "I don't know what that means," Lisa replied. "You touched the core. Only the lost bloodlines can do that. We were hunted, hidden, feared by our own kind." Lisa's chest felt heavy. "So I'm not broken." The woman smiled faintly. "No, child, you are rare and powerful. They just didn't understand you." Ethan stepped forward. "Can we help you?" The woman shook her head. "My time has passed, but take the memory core in the console. Let the truth be known." She closed her eyes. The machines around her went silent. Ethan placed a hand on Lisa's shoulder. "You ready to change the galaxy?" Lisa looked up. For the first time, she felt something real. A purpose. Yes. "Let's show them what a useless girl can do." The horizon's edge flew through the cold dark of space. Inside the ship, Lisa sat near the data core they recovered. From Delcar 9, she stared at the blinking light. It pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. Ethan walked over with a tablet. Any luck reading it? Lisa shook her head. The encryption is old, but I think it's connected to Zellar mind patterns. It won't open unless someone with my ability touches it. Then try it, Ethan said. She placed her hand on the core. It glowed warmer. A soft hum filled the room. Then images appeared in the air-floating memories. The voice of an elder Zellari played in a calm tone. To those who find this, we were the speakers. We touched machines. We heard the song of metal. Our kind feared. U.S. So they erased us. But the bond cannot be broken. If you can access this memory, you are one of us. Remember who you are. And don't hide, speak, and the machines will rise. Lisa sat frozen. Her hands trembled. Ethan leaned closer. That's who you are, a speaker. A small smile touched her lips, but then the ship shook. Alarms blared. Ethan ran to the pilot. Seat, another ship is approaching fast. No ID looks military, he said. Lisa's heart dropped. They're here for the core. Ethan turned the ship. We have to lose them. The enemy ship fired. The horizon's edge jolted hard. Lights flickered. Systems went down. We can't outrun them, Ethan said. Lisa stood. I need to try something. She went to the engine room. There was a broken maintenance bot. Its head was cracked, wires exposed. She knelt beside it and placed her hand on its chest. Help me, please. I don't want to be taken. The bot sparked, then rose slowly. Its eyes glowed blue. It moved toward. The engine plugged into a damaged port, and with a loud click, the horizon's edge roared back to life. Ethan blinked. What did you do? I asked it. It listened. She replied. He turned the ship sharply. They entered a dense asteroid cloud. The enemy ship chased them, but couldn't match their new speed. The debris forced the attackers to slow. We lost them, Ethan said. Breathing hard, Lisa smiled softly. I didn't even force it. It just wanted to help. They drifted for hours, then landed on a quiet moon to rest. Ethan repaired the outer hull while Lisa sat under the stars. She looked up at the sky. I was never broken. They just didn't understand me. Ethan sat beside her. Sometimes the world fears what it doesn't control. But that doesn't mean you're less. It means you're special. She turned to him. You think others will listen? He smiled. If they don't, we'll make them. Suddenly, a small beacon activated on the console. A nearby cargo ship was under attack. Ethan frowned. We shouldn't get involved. Lisa stood. I want to help. They followed the signal. The cargo ship was surrounded by raiders. It had no weapons, just families inside. Ethan armed the Horizon's only turret, but it wasn't enough. Lisa closed her eyes. She reached out to the broken drones floating in space around the wreckage. Old patrol bots, dead for years. She touched the console and whispered, Wake up. Protect them, please. One by one, the drones blinked, then lit up. They moved slowly. At first, then fast, forming a wall between the cargo ship and the raiders. The pirates fired, but the drones pushed back. With old weapons and new fury, Ethan watched in awe. You just started a war. Lisa breathed deeply. Or maybe, a revolution. The rescue of the cargo ship spread quickly. Other ships picked up the signal. Some saw it as a miracle. Others saw it as a threat. In a council chamber on the Zellari homeworld, the elders met in secret. They watched the drone footage in silence. A Zellari girl touching machines, calling them to life. Commanding them, this cannot be. One elder said, She is a null. She should not exist. She is not a null. Another replied, She is a speaker, one of the lost bloodlines. We destroyed that bloodline generations ago, the first elder said. Not well enough, came the answer. A decision was made. Find the girl, erase her. Erase the truth. Back on the horizon's edge, Ethan adjusted the ship's shield grid. Lissa sat in the main hold, fixing a broken drone's leg. I think I can make it faster, she said softly. Ethan smiled. Just don't make it smarter than me. She laughed a little. The sound was light, free, but then the alert pinged again. Another signal, this one different, encrypted. Ethan read it. It's from a Zellery ship. They're asking for help, claiming their vessel lost control. No weapons, only scientists on board. Lissa frowned. It might be a trap, he nodded. But it might not be. They made the jump. The Zellery ship floated silently above a dead moon. No signals, no movement. Ethan scanned it. Looks quiet, but something's off. Lissa stepped closer. I'll go aboard. Ethan looked at her sharply. No, too dangerous. She touched his arm. If they really need help, I want to be the one who helps, not just hides. He handed her a small wrist beacon. If anything goes wrong, call me. I'll come. She nodded. Lissa stepped into the Zellery ship. It was dark, cold. The halls were silent. Lights flickered above. She walked slowly, her boots echoing. She passed empty rooms. No one answered her calls. Then in the central chamber, she saw them. Zellery warriors, not scientists, waiting. Lissa of the lost blood. One said, you were warned. She stepped back. It was all a lie. They raised weapons, but before they fired, her beacon flashed, and the wall exploded. Ethan burst in with 2 drones flying at his side. He fired twice, the warriors scattered. Run. He shouted. They raced back to the horizon's edge. The Zellery ship tried to follow, but Lissa reached out to the enemy ship systems. Stop, she whispered. The engines shut down, lights died. The ship went cold. Back on board, Lissa collapsed. Into her seat, they were waiting for me. They want to destroy the speakers. Again, Ethan sat beside her. We'll stop them. We have to. She looked at him. I don't want to just run. I want to fight back. He nodded. Then, we find allies. We show others what you can do. Lissa looked out at the stars. She wasn't afraid anymore. Let the galaxy come. She was ready. The horizon's edge landed. On a quiet planet covered in mist and forest, Ethan stepped out first, scanning the trees. This place used to be a drone factory world, he said, long abandoned, but maybe there are survivors. People who know about speakers. Lissa followed him down the ramp. The air was cool. Every sound echoed in the silence. They moved carefully through the trees. Old metal parts lay half buried in the ground. Long dead machines rested like statues. Lissa stopped beside one. She placed her hand on it. The machine blinked once, then shut down again. It's too far gone, she said softly. They kept walking. After hours, they reached a hill where an old station stood. It was broken, with walls covered in moss. But the inside still had power. Lights flickered as they entered. Ethan drew his tool gun. Hello. He called. A voice replied from the shadows. You should not be here. A man stepped out. He was humanoid, with a gray beard and a metal brace on one leg. He held a rifle, but didn't aim it. I'm Ethan. This is Lissa. We're not enemies. The man studied Lissa. You're Zellery. She nodded. I'm a speaker. The man lowered his rifle. Then you're in danger. The Zellery Council sent hunters to erase your kind. We know, Ethan said. That's why we're here, to stop them. The man walked slowly to a console and activated a screen. Many years ago, this place built helper drones. We gave them emotion, trust. But when speakers disappeared, so did their purpose. Lissa looked at the screen. It showed hundreds of sleeping drones underground. They still work. She asked, maybe if you speak to them, if they remember. She stepped closer, touched the panel. Closed her eyes. I know you're tired. but I need you. Please wake up." Deep underground, lights flickered. One drone opened its eyes, then another, then 10, then 50. The old man's eyes widened. "They're listening to you," Ethan smiled. "She's more than they ever expected." Suddenly, an alert appeared. A Zellery warship entered orbit. It was searching, scanning. "They found us," the man said. Lissa stood tall, then let them come. "This time, we're not running." Ethan prepared the Horizon's turret. The old man activated the base's defenses. And Lissa walked into the center of the clearing. Drones gathered around her. She raised her hand. "They want to erase us. But we are not mistakes. We are not broken. We are the future." The warship fired a warning shot. Trees exploded in flames. Ethan shouted from cover, "They're serious." Lissa stepped forward. The drones rose into the sky. She whispered, "Protect our voice." The drones launched at the ship, dodging lasers. Striking with old weapons and new purpose, the warship trembled, tried to retreat, but the drones disabled its engines. It fell slowly, crashing into a mountainside. Cheers rose from the forest. Lissa breathed out. She had led them, and they had followed. The old man walked up to her. "They'll send more," she nodded. "Then we send a message. To every speaker hiding out there, it's time to rise." The stars above the forest now carried a message across distant systems. The name Lissa began to spread. The Zellery girl who awakened machines. The girl who didn't run. The one they called useless. But now people saw her differently, on trade. Ships and outer colonies, quiet speakers heard her message. They had hidden their gifts. Afraid of the council, afraid of being hunted. But now they reached for their consoles, touched old machines, and whispered back, "I hear you." Inside the Horizon's edge, Ethan checked the navigation screen. "We've got responses. 3. Ships want to meet us. 2 of them are human. 1 Zellery." Lissa sat by the main window, watching the moonlight. "They believe me," she said softly. Ethan nodded. "They believe in you." The old man from the forest base joined them. His name was Nolan. He had fought in the early wars. Now he fixed drones and passed on knowledge. "They'll come for you again," Nolan warned. "The council doesn't back down. They'll send their best." Lissa stood up. "Then we'll be ready, soon." A small fleet gathered above a quiet planet known as Garros. The speakers come young, old, from many species, each with a drone, each with a voice. Lissa stepped onto the central platform. She looked at them. All eyes were on her. "You were told to hide, told you were broken, but you are not. You are rare, powerful, and needed. The machines listen, because we listen to them." Ethan stood at her side. Nolan too. Then, the Zellery flagship entered orbit. Its weapons pointed down. The Elder's voice boomed over the comms. "This is your final warning. Surrender the core and the girl." Lissa stepped forward. "I am the core," she replied. "You cannot silence us." The Elders launched attack drones, hundreds, but the speakers raised their hands, and the sky came alive. Old machines, new ones, forgotten satellites. Even the soil-borne drones of Garros answered the call. They moved with grace, with purpose. Because they were no longer tools, they were family. The battle in the sky was fast. Flashes of light, explosions. But the speakers worked together. They guided every move. The Zellery flagship fired one final missile, headed straight for Lissa's command post. She closed her eyes, whispered to the air. The missile stopped, turned, and flew back, crashing into the flagship's shield core. The ship broke apart. Falling in silence, the battle was over. Lissa stood in the center, tears in her eyes. Not of sadness, but of pride. The crowd around her cheered. Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. "You changed everything." Nolan nodded. The council will fall. The truth is too loud now, later. As stars filled the night sky, Lissa sat alone. A small drone rested beside her like a pet. She smiled and whispered, "I was never useless." They just didn't understand from that day. The speakers formed a new alliance, machines and minds, working together, not as masters and tools, but as partners, and Lissa, the girl once cast aside, became their leader. The galaxy would never forget the girl who spoke and who made the machines listen.